These are big data which were released obviously by IBM, right? Volume, variety, and velocity. Okay, and now it has become 4 V's. There are actually more than 16 V's of big data if you check online. I mean, people just came and started coining random words, and I don't know if that pays. Otherwise, I will also try to do that. I mean, it's not a bad idea, right? So these are the 4 most important V's, and each one of you, when you spoke, you have already touched up on all of these, right? So I'll just articulate the specifics, right? So 6 billion people apparently now have cell phones out of the 7 billion people in the world. Sorry, my numbers were not a little bit off there, right? And so 43 trillion gigabytes, that's 40 zettabytes of data, is supposed to be created by 2020. I'm just thinking it's a quite modest projection here, right? And we are doing 2.5 quintillion bytes a day. The Dilbert strip also talks about the same thing, right? Most companies in the US has at least 100 terabytes of data. Yeah, that's definitely true. Okay, so that's the total amount of data that is being generated. When we talk about specifically the size characteristic, that's volume, which is the scale of data, right? Excuse me. Then obviously you've got variety, right? As of 2011, the global size of data in healthcare, now when global size of healthcare data is 150 exabytes. That's about 161 billion gigabytes, right? Exabyte is billion gigabyte. So that's different data, and then you've got social media. Obviously, each type of data is different. Then obviously you've got videos, images, Pinterest, Instagram, all these multi-billion-dollar companies which are, selling you. I don't know what they are selling you. They are selling you. I really don't have a word for it. People get pleasure out of it. So all of these, right? All of these are in different format. For instance, Twitter, obviously, allows you to connect to their API and collect data. Twitter has data in JSON format, which is a popular serialization format. A lot of data in lot of, XML is also a very popular serialization format. Then you get completely unstructured data. Then you've got Avro, Thrift, a lot of server-generated log data, which has got different forms of serialization. So it's just a long list, right? And that basically leads to variety, which is different forms of data: structured, unstructured, semi-structured, blobs, serialized forms, something or the other, right? And then you've got velocity, right? Someone spoke about stock. So 1 terabyte of trade information during each trading session. That's at the NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange alone, right? And there are obviously other stock exchanges which are generating data at similar scale. Okay, and if you look at a lot of these examples, you'll see these things used to be done on pen and paper. So healthcare, stock exchange, all these things, they used to be done. I mean, I remember seeing these in movies, and healthcare is a lot of pen and paper in India, and stock exchange also, people are jumping, and everyone's hand is raised, they're trying to write stuff down. But now everything is automated, right? So in 2016, it's projected that there will be 18.9 billion network connections, almost 2.5 connections per person. So yeah, that also is doable, because I have got one cell phone connection, my wife has got 2 cell phone connections, then I've got one internet connection for myself, my wife has 1 internet connection, and that makes us 5 connections there, because obviously my cell phone connections can do 3G data as well. Trying to think if I have more, but and then you've got your IPTV and also, so all these network connections, these network data, which would again lead to TV channels figuring out what shows you want to watch. It's just madness out there, right? And then veracity is something that has been recently added. Veracity is the uncertainty of data, or the trustworthiness. How much would you want to trust, right? And there the thing is that most people do not really know whether what the predictions are correct or not. I mean, how would you know that, right? It's not possible. You're just trusting on statistics, and it does work, but you don't really know. So how do you utilize your data, right? Your data quality. How do you figure out if you're talking about gigantic amount of data, you're talking about volume, variety, velocity, how do you ensure that your data is clean and is being correctly used in the correct statistical model and you're getting the right kind of insights, right? So 1 out of 3 business leaders don't trust the information that they use to make decisions. Right? That's an interesting statistic. And then in one survey, 27% of the respondents were unsure of how much of their data was inaccurate. Right. So that's obviously that is the margin for error. That's the part which you can't really do much about, right? And right here in the center of the screen and about middle of the screen, bottom, if you see, that's what the landscape looks like. Okay, so about 4.5 million jobs in in about 18 more months, because not 18, we are already in September, right? So 15 more months, because this is 2015. I would say just 12 months is enough, actually. So 4.5 million jobs are in the process of being generated, out of which about very close to 2 million is in the US alone, right? So that's basically the landscape of big data. Now,